The occurrence of debt has become a norm in our daily life. Every household will be involved in some form of debt, depending on the needs of the individual. In Malaysia, the continuous increase in household debt over the years is no longer limited to meet the basic needs of life. The availability of various types of debt financing in the market enable households to acquire necessities such as houses, vehicles, and fulfill their education requirements. It should be noted that Islam does not prohibit debt, which has become a necessity, especially in a consumer society in this modern time. Islam highly discourages heavy use of debt. It is considered to have a serious and direct effect on a Muslim belief or commission, leading to harmful consequences. So in this video, we will have a deep discussion about the debt. There are theory of debt, pillar of debt, and effect of debt. So enjoy this video.
What is the theory of debt in Islamic perspective? Let me share with you what it is. Debt in general is an amount of money owed from one party to another one. Or in other words, lend to someone some amount of money. In Islam, debt is permissible. It varies from mandatory to prohibited. For example, from recommended to not recommended. The authenticated in terms of debt could be writing or the testimony by the two witnesses. It also can be by giving something as guarantee to make sure the borrowers pay the debt to the lenders in the future as agreed by the both of them. For instance, a mortgage. Plus, the lenders should know either the debtor honors or intend to cheat. If the debtors not pay back, it is also the lender's fault. Today, in this modern world, basic necessities, daruriyat, are no longer limited to food, clothes, and shelter, but also include education, healthcare, and other modern necessities. Debt is allowed in case of basic needs and extreme poverty, so it is not deter the debtors from entering paradise. In Islam, there are restricted dealing with debt. One of it is usury. Usury is action of lending the amount of money at unreasonable high rates to the borrowers. It is completely prohibited in Islam. To put in conclusion, debt is the last option and should avoid from involving in debt as much as possible.
The debt are considered to have occurred when the needs and condition of the debt themselves have been met. Therefore, there are four pillars of debt in Islamic perspective. The first pillar is creditor or lender, and the second pillar is debtor or borrower. These two pillars have a relationship with one another. Both lender and borrower must be probity, sane, and also be able to think. It is must for them to manage their property. They also have to be a person that can be able to distinguish good and bad things. If the lender or borrower is a madman, drunk, or children will not be able to distinguish good and bad things, the pillar automatically becomes invalid. Moreover, lender must be someone who has freedom of choice. In other words, the lender free to make agreement of debt. The third pillar is property or debt object. Debt agreements are considered to occur when they have property or debt object. There are three conditions for the property to be lent. First of all, the property is valuable, that has similarities, things, and its use result in the destruction of the object. Secondly, the property can be owned, so that it can certainly be owned by the debtor. And the last condition is property made as the object of the debt must be present when the debt agreement is made. The fourth and the last pillar is ijab and qabul. Ijab is a statement from creditor and qabul is from the debtor. It must meet three elements, which the first element is ijab and qabul must be clear on the meaning. Secondly, there must be a match between ijab and qabul. And the third element is ijab and qabul must describe the seriousness of the will of the party involved.
Alright, now let's discuss three things you need to know about debt.
First is about loans and debts in Muslim communities. Most Muslims, especially the religious ones, are likely to avoid unnecessary borrowing. This is because it may prevent us from entering paradise, as it is said by our Prophet, "The believer's soul is suspended by his debt until it is settled for him." Not only in Islam, but debt is also not recommended in other religions. Islam always takes the matter of debt seriously and warns against it and urges the Muslim to avoid it as much as possible. Even our Prophet always prayed to avoid debt and death while in debt. Next is about loan repayment. As a lender, you should not make things difficult to the debtor, and as a debtor, you need to pay your debt as soon as possible. It becomes your responsibility when you promise to repay your debt. Your promise needs to be fulfilled because it will be questioned in hereafter and you may get punished. Last is about death while indebted. You need to repay and settle the loan even after you are dead. How? Your family members or friends must pay on your behalf, so you need to let them know or write it down. Therefore, your representative have proof and information about your debt, and it will make it easier for them to repay it.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Rahman, and next we will discuss the impact of debt in Islamic perspective. As we know, debt has its pros and cons in it. It depends on what are we trying to do with it. Either we want to use it in a good way or in a bad way. Debt can be useful, it can also bite back. If you want to do it in a bad way, you need to accept the consequences that might happen. The first impact that we will discuss is that this debt will create marital problems for couples because it will affect the partner disagreements, stress, and also reduce satisfaction in marital. This will come up with divorce in the relationship. For example, if the partner is taking a credit card and use it without hesitation and wake up when it comes to pay the credit card back, they can't, because of the huge amount of the money. It will stress the partner to find a way to pay it back. Then that is why Islam discourages us on heavy debt, because it can give negative effect to us or to your surrounding. Next is, debt is also important for someone who wants to open up a business. It will help the growth and stabilization for the economy. For the business like retailers, company, and also businesses, it can provide the ability to have a proper payment without any delay or frustration to pay the debt back. When they get the income or profit, they can pay debt accordingly without hesitation. And basically, these people will try to finish their debt to avoid any problem to them or their business in the future.
Islam promises debt as it brings benefit to individuals as well as facilitate the fulfillment of their needs. Debt should be incurred based on the needs of the individual and not for the sake of gaining luxury without taking into consideration the potential adverse effects. It should be highlighted that the basic concept of allowing debt is to be incurred in Islam is to help each other as stipulated in the mutual cooperation. However, Islam forbids the taking of usury where the lender is taking advantage of the desperate situation of the debtor. Debt should be limited for the purpose of fulfilling the individual's needs and not for the sake of wealth accumulation. Thank you.